All right, this is part 2 of Cosmetology Chemical Texture Service, and we are talking now about perm rods. So this is there's quite a few different types of perm rods, but the book is going to talk about the most commonly used ones. Um, so anyway, so the concave rods are the blue ones that you see on the left there. Those are smaller in circumference in the middle than on the ends. The reason that some people like this is it gives the hair more of a natural curled look because the hair has different textures. So some is a little bit curlier than the rest. And the straight rods are consistent in diameter, so you have kind of the same size curl all over the head. And then we have, soft bender rods. Those are about 12 inches long with equal diameter. They're not concave, they're straight. And they're made of soft foam and they take on a variety of shapes. So they loop. Then there's also loop or circular rods. They fasten together to form a circle. So what you're seeing there is the loop or circular rods. The soft bender rods, let me see if they're in the book here. They're bendable and they're a little softer. No, I don't see a picture of them in the book, but you can always Google it if you are. Oh no, there is one. Okay, so on page 613, there's a picture, figure 20-36. That is the spiral wrap on bender rods. So that's what the bender rods look like. Anyhow, so we have bender rods, we have loop or circle rods, and those ones, as you can see, she's got one that's open. They'll clasp together, and then the picture on the left, you can see where they're clasped. So those are the loop or circular rods. The soft bender rods, you can make them straight if you wanted to, with just the ends bent in to keep the hair there. You can make them in a circle. You can do, whatever. So we have the end papers. So the first picture is the double flat wrap. No, I'm sorry, that's the bookend wrap. They have it a little bit a little bit backwards there. And this is on page 611. So, oh no, I'm wrong. No, it is page 611, but I'm sorry, I had it wrong. The very first picture there is the double flat wrap. Okay. So the double flat wrap is a perm wrap that one paper is placed under and another is placed over. So that's the double flat wrap. That's the way that I always have you guys wrap when we're doing state board. It's safe. It's the safest. And then you have the single flat wrap. So the single flat wrap is similar to the double flat wrap, but it only uses one end paper, and it's just placed over the strand of hair. So it's only on the top. There's not one underneath. And then you have the bookend, which is where you just take one end paper and fold it in half. But I don't like that way because I'm always worried that you'll pinch the hair together and it won't be evenly distributed. So, but you can choose to do it how you like. So the sectioning of a perm. So the panels are the size, the shape, and the direction of the panels vary based on the type of wrapping pattern and type of tool. So then you have the base sections. The base sections are subsections of a panel based on the size of the tool. So the panel is pretty much like the whole section. You're going to make it just slightly smaller than the perm rod. And that will be, that's the panel. You can see a little illustration of a panel on page 611, figure 20-29. That is the panel. And then the base sections are the subsections, the smaller sections within the panel, which is what that picture is of on your slide there. So we have on base placement, half off base placement, and off base placement. So base placement refers to the position of the rod in relation to its base section. Base placement is determined by the angle at which the hair is wrapped. Rods can be wrapped on base, half off base, or off base. So for on base placement, which is what you need to do for state board, for on base, the hair is wrapped 45 degrees beyond perpendicular to its base section. So you're over directing if you want to have an on base placement. And the rod is positioned on its base. So then we have on page 612, we have half off base placement, which is that first picture there. In the half off base placement, the hair is wrapped at an angle of 90 degrees or perpendicular to its base section, and the rod is positioned half off its base section. Half off base placement minimizes the stress and tension on the hair. And then you have off base placement, which is the picture on your right. And off base placement refers to wrapping the hair at 45 degrees below the center of the base section so that the rod is positioned completely off its base. Off base placement creates the least amount of volume and results in a curl pattern that begins furthest away from the scalp. Okay. And then you have base direction. So that's just the direction that the perms are wrapped. The angle at which the tool is positioned, and the directional wrap pattern. So that's usually based on how the client wears their hair. So on the picture on the slide with the green rods on the left-hand side, that might be someone that wears their hair back. So they want the direction to go back the way that they like to style their hair. And then the one on the right with the orange rods, maybe she likes to wear her hair more kind of going down on the sides and like kind of down all over. So you would do the ones on the top panel going back. If they wear bangs, you can put the front, 2 or so. If it's smaller rods, maybe 3 going forward. But if they don't wear bangs, just have all the ones on the top panel going back. And then if they wear their hair down a lot, then you could do the ones on the sides just going down. So now we're going to talk about wrapping techniques. So the way you pronounce this word is croquinol. Croquinol hair is hair wrapped from the ends to the scalp in an overlapping concentric layers. Okay, so we'll talk about the croquinol perm wrap. Because the hair is wrapped perpendicular to the length of the rod, each new layer of this hair is wrapped on top of the previous layer, increasing the size or the diameter of the curl with each new overlapping layer. This produces a tighter curl at the ends and a larger curl at the scalp. Longer, thicker hair increases this effect. Okay. And then we'll talk about the spiral. Spiral hair is wrapped at an angle to form a coil, like the grip of a tennis racket. So you can see that figure on the left in the slide, how it's wrapped in a spiral pattern. And this is why the spiral wrap is good for the bender. The bender rods are good for the spiral wrap. If you look in the book on page 613, figure 20-36, you can see how she's wrapping the hair in a spiral pattern, and that's how the hair will look when it's done. It's really pretty. So the double rod wrap and the basic perm wrap. Okay, so the double rod wrap is on the left. And this is where sometimes the hair might be too long or too thick. And I don't, you might think maybe the waving solution and the neutralizer isn't going to be able to penetrate all the way through all that thick hair. Some people's hair is down to their waist and they want to get a perm. Well, there's no way that the hair closer to the root is going to get saturated all because it's got to go through inches and inches of hair. So that's when you would use a double rod wrap. So we'll talk a little bit about that. This is on page. Wow. Oh, sorry. This is on page 613. So the double rod wrap is also known as piggyback wrap. That is where the hair is wrapped on one rod from the scalp to midway down the hair shaft, and another rod is used to wrap the remaining hair strand in the same direction. This allows for better penetration of the processing solution and for a tighter curl near the scalp that is provided by a conventional crokinole wrap. So a crokinole wrap is just when you use one rod and you wrap it, from the ends to the scalp, just like a regular perm rod. And then this is called the double rod wrap or a piggyback. So the right picture on your slide is a crokinole, and the left picture on your slide is a double rod wrap, or also known as a piggyback. Okay, so base control. So we're going to talk about base control and curvature in the permanent wrap. Okay. So base control is the position of the tool in relation to its base section. So that we talked about, that's determined by the angle at which the hair is wrapped. The curvature perm wrap is the partings and bases radiate throughout the panels to follow the curvature of the head. This wrapping pattern uses pie-shaped sections in the curvature area. And if you look on page 614, it has a picture of the basic perm wrapping pattern like we saw on the last slide. And it has this picture that's on the slide now, which is the curvature perm wrapping pattern. So you can kind of see it follows the curvature of the head if you look kind of at the bottom behind the ear. And then there's a brick lay perm wrapping pattern, which we're going to talk next. So the brick lay permanent wrap and the weave technique. Okay, so first the brick lay. The brick lay permanent wrap is similar to the actual technique of bricklaying. The base sections are offset from each row by row to prevent noticeable splits and to blend the flow of hair. Different brick lay patterns use different starting points from the front hairline to the occipital area and the crown, and these starting points affect the directional flow of the hair. The brick lay permanent wrap can be used with various combinations of sectioning, base control, base direction, wrapping techniques, and perm rods. So this is just, they're staggered. Okay, so the brick lay they're staggered, so you don't see a line through the hair. And it's kind of similar to the concept of the weave technique. So the weave technique uses zigzag partings, like you see on the slide, to divide the base areas. It can be used throughout the entire perm wrap or only in selected areas. This technique is very effective for blending between perm rods with opposite base directions. It can also be used to create a smooth transition from the rolled areas into the unrolled areas of a partial perm. Because some people's hair is too short in the nape and they just get a partial perm because you can't wrap hair that's, shaved or really short. So they'll get a partial. The weave technique can be used in a variety of base directions, wrapping patterns, and perm rods. So now we'll talk about partial perms. Partial perms, I just said a little bit about it, but it's used when the entire head is not permed. Hair that's long on top but short and close on the sides. Some hair is too short to wrap on the rods. These are all reasons to do a partial perm. Sleek crown and curly perimeter is desired. Volume is desired in certain areas only, and transition techniques can be used, which would be like the zigzag parting. Okay, so perms for men. Many men are looking for added texture, fullness, and style, and low maintenance that only a perm can provide. Perms look fuller, they make straight or coarse hair more manageable, and help control stubborn calyx. Techniques are the same for men and women. Okay, we're going to stop here.